Welcome to Amazon Legends, where we have real stories about making it big on Amazon. Our guests are CEOs of large companies and entrepreneurs who became power sellers, also providers specializing in helping sellers, aggregators that acquire sellers, and former Amazonians will give us an insight from behind the scenes. Here is your host, Nick Urison.
Welcome to another episode of Amazon Legends. My next guest today has been in e-commerce for 30 years. So we're recording this in 2024, so 30 years back. So anybody wondering, was there e-commerce 30 years ago? And the answer is yes, it was. It was called using AOL email to pitch whatever it was that you're selling. So that's how e-commerce started. And then, of course, it rolled into eBay and so on and so forth. So today, he's the founder of Pro Tough Products on Amazon for 9 years now, and he's a mid-seven-figure seller. Also has a mentoring program called BrandFortressHQ.com with its own podcast. So he's very active, and from his mentoring, I can see that he's also into giving back. So when he's not working, he likes hiking and likes to scramble. That is jumping from boulder to boulder. So you can tell us more about that. So with that, everybody, meet my guest, Michael Kaufman. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Oh, thanks, Nick. I'm glad to be here. And scrambling, for anybody who didn't, like the boulder to boulder is basically, it's hiking up a river. So if there's enough boulders in the river and you can manage to get from one to the next, then it's putting together the puzzle pieces of trying to figure out what that navigation looks like to get up the river without getting out of the river. So it's pretty fun. We've done that with our family for quite a long time.
So, talk about that. So a long time ago, I bought one of these handheld GPS units. And it had something about some game people play with
geocaching.
Yes.
Yeah. We've done a little bit of that. Geocaching is pretty fun. It's nice, because there's a lot of community involvement with that. We haven't actually, my niece does it. She and her husband do it all the time. But there's quite a community that's built around that geocaching. Like people, hide things out in the woods or wherever, and then there's kind of a little treasure trove of things that they put there, and then they give the coordinates and kind of a scavenger hunt kind of a thing, and you use your GPS, which of course nowadays you can do on your phone, and you just walk through the scavenger hunt to find the item, and then normally it's one of these things where you take an item out and you put an item in. So they pretty much everybody brings along a little satchel of just trinkets and whatnot, so they'll swap, take one out and put one in and move on to the next one. So it's kind of cool.
Cool. So today's discussion is especially important for pretty much all Amazon sellers to hear from another Amazon seller about becoming a seven-figure seller. So it doesn't happen by accident, doesn't fall on your head. It's something that you need to follow a methodology for. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. So when you listen to the full episode, you'll be able to take away stuff from what Michael will share and apply directly to your business. Mike, so tell us, what is your approach to growing your account and reaching those seven figures?
So I think essentially the strategy that we've used in our approach really is very much focused on the customer engagement side of things and all of the benefits that transpire as a result of that. And of course, when you're selling on Amazon, customer engagement is a difficult thing because obviously Amazon wants to be in between you and your customer at all times. As far as they're concerned, those customers are their customers. So you have to find a way to make those customers yours. And there really isn't any other truly effective way to do that beyond a post-purchase process of some sort. And everybody's post-purchase process may look a little bit different, but ultimately you need to get them on an email list. It doesn't mean you might not want them also as followers on social or things like that, but those are all still platforms that ultimately are controlled by somebody else. An email list and maybe an SMS list is about the only type of list these days that technically is under your control. You can export the list, you can take it to a new provider, you can use it for just about whatever you want, as long as you're not spamming people. And so, an email and or SMS list is probably your best approach in terms of that, customer engagement. And the nice thing about that is that, from the point of your listing on Amazon and the things that you say in that listing, which may predispose an individual to actually pay attention to your packaging or whatever inserts might be in there because of something they're expecting with the product, right? That they can't get any other way, so they're looking for it, right? That's one way to increase your engagement rate with whatever you put in there. And then your inserts, whether it be an insert or a hang tag or whatever it is that you're putting in there, something they have to interact with. And then a good offer, a good offer for that moment and for that customer. You really have to think through who is your ideal customer, especially who is the ideal customer that you want on your list, right? Because again, the idea is that engagement. The idea is creating that relationship with them so that not only can you still sell to them other items, hopefully you've got multiple items in your product line that you could sell on the back end, but also getting the reviews both on Amazon and off of Amazon, allowing them to help you in the, product research and development phase and the launch of products. You'd be amazed at how much assistance you can get from a list, in terms of your product development and your product launch strategy. It makes it much easier. But again, that comes back to who is the target customer that you could go after that would be most interested in your product at the highest price you could potentially sell it at, and would engage with you in a positive way to accomplish all of those other things, the reviews and, post-purchase, orders and back-end stuff and all of that. Who's that customer? Once you know who that is, then the question is, what is that customer thinking at the moment that they open your box, your package? Because it's in that moment that you have a very short, limited amount of time to engage them, to get them on your list. You have to get them to do something to get on your list. So what is the thing that you could do for them in that moment that they would be most interested in, most likely to respond to, and gets them on your list, and then everything, transpires from there.
So, okay, so the answer to the question, who is your ideal customer, who is going to pay you the highest amount of price that you can charge? There are multiple answers to that question, right?
Yep.
So you are talking about then putting something in the package that will appeal to them.
Right.
And then you want that offer to be the offer that they are interested in. So again, since there are multiple types of ideal customers, it may not fit. So how do you go about making it as generic as possible while also making it as personal as possible? So
Right,
what is the answer?
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit difficult, especially if you're brand new, right? Like, I mean, if you're starting a brand from scratch, right? That can be a tough space to be in, because it is difficult, to some degree, to figure out who that ideal customer is. But I would say we're gaining tools to make that a better, to be able to be more objective at that on the front end, with AI analysis of, the reviews of other products in your category, analyzing what other brands are doing with their listings in terms of how they're presenting the information, what types of actual features and benefits they're actually highlighting and not, especially those that are selling in the top ranks of whatever category you're trying to enter, because to some degree, you probably are going to want to emulate what they're doing. You're just going to want to do it better. And you especially want to focus on those products that are selling at the top of category and are selling at least a somewhat premium price point, in that category. You don't want to focus on the products that are selling at the lowest possible price you could sell at, because that's not where you want to be. Eventually, that's a losing battle. You might win, in the beginning, but you're never going to win over the long term that way. So the question is, what are the sellers doing who are selling top of category at least the most premium price that exists right now in the category? What could you do better than they're doing so that you could sell it potentially an even higher price point than they are and still be top of category? And then what customer wants that the most? You know, those things that they're doing, if you were to do that better, who's the customer that would want that most? What does it matter? You know, are you saving them time? Are you saving them money in the long run? Are you, you know, what is it that those features or those benefits that you're offering them, what does it do for them? And who cares about those things the most, right? You can use over time, you know, brand analytics is very helpful. You know, there's information in there, demographic information that is useful, which of course you don't have on the front end, but not long after you start selling, you start to pull in some of that data and you can kind of look at who's buying the product and what, you know, what are the demographics there. So you can pay attention to that. I would say that over time, it's going to be that engagement with the customer that ultimately then defines who they are, right? Like as you talk to them, you're going to see what messages they respond best to, what language do they respond best to, what phrasings, what jokes do you tell that they respond to, you know, like all of that stuff helps you to get to know your customer better. But again, you don't know all that stuff until you get this process in place. So what I would say is do the best that you can, you know, with upfront analysis of the product vertical that you're in, the other brands that are selling at that premium price point. Try to figure out who you think they're selling to. Look at their social media. Like if there's other premium brands in your category, look at their social media profile. What are they posting? You know, you can tell a lot about who they're trying to advertise to if they actually know, right? Some of them don't, but most of them who are sitting top of category probably know who they're selling to. So what are they saying in their social media? That'll tell you who they're selling to, and maybe it's the same customer you want to sell to. Maybe you want to niche it down even a little bit more. Like, okay, they're selling to this group, right? That could be effective, but if I shrink it just a little bit more, I could be even more dialed in on my message and maybe sell it even a higher price point because I'm solving it's interesting. Alex Hermoldi said something not too long ago that came up on my feed that I really liked. And he was talking about that idea of niching down and how the further you niche, the higher the price point oftentimes you can sell at, because the problem that you're solving becomes so much more critical to that specific person, right? And as long as you know what the problem is that you're solving, and you can really delineate what that solution looks like for them and how much money it's going to save them or how much time it's going to save them, the more you niche down, the more you really can delve into that. And you might take a product that, you know, you could sell for $100 to one customer and literally sell it for $1,000 to that customer who's niched down enough. And in fact, I just talked to somebody the other day. They were talking about a lady who sells clothes hangers. She sells at a price point that is literally 10 times what anybody else in her category sells at. Now, she sells to a very specific customer, but think about that. If you could sell it 10, and that's not 10 times like the lowest priced option. That's 10 times the second highest priced option she's selling at, right? And so how much more money could you make? You know, like even if you had, you know, 20% of the customers that second place person has, you're still selling more than they sell and getting more, you know, or at least getting more profit out of it, right? She sells to ladies, mostly, probably also men, but mostly ladies who buy these $5,000 dresses, right? That person wants that dress to come out of the closet perfect every single time, right? So they're going to buy the most expensive hanger they can buy that has exactly the shape that it needs to have, right? So she's selling a pack of hangers for $500, you know, where everybody else is, you know, selling it for $30 or $20 simply because she sells to that lady, right? So that's the idea. And so if you niche that down, you know, you can dial in on that customer. And then of course your messaging is better. The response to your offer is better. You know, all of those things are going to improve.
Well, I mean, this goes back to product development though, right? Because it's not like you can come up with a product and then just try to figure out your messaging to hone in on a narrow slice of the target audience, so to speak. This is really building your product with the intention to sell to such a thing. So really it starts from product development and then trickles down to messaging and your offer and also all the materials that go around it. So the other aspect of this is you cannot afford to have a premium product, so to speak, that is in fact a premium product in terms of materials and the offer and everything else, the problem it solves. But at the same time, the content is not premium, right? So content has to be 100% from images to videos that you must have, probably multiple videos for something like that, as well as A+. You probably cannot get away with just standard A+. You need to have premium A+.
Yeah. You know, like, who are you highlighting in those videos? You know, like, if you're selling to the lady who has $5,000 dresses, you better be highlighting somebody who looks like they buy $5,000 dresses, right? Like, I mean, it makes a difference, you know, who is in those videos, who is in those images, how they're acting, you know, like, do they look like they play that part? But yeah, product development for sure. And it's interesting because, of course, I didn't start that way. You know, I mean, like 9 years ago on Amazon, it was Wild West. I mean, you could throw up any product you wanted to and you can make money. You know, that's not true now. You know, like, you can't do it the way I did it back then. I fell into what I'm doing. I understand what I'm doing now only because I fell into it, right? Like, I mean, I had a lot of experience in e-commerce, so I did have, you know, some benefits over other people who were trying to sell on Amazon. So at least I had that foundation. But realistically, when we launched on Amazon, it was kind of a Me Too product. You know, the only thing that we really added to it essentially was we bought the best version of what was available. So we went through the manufacturers and found the one that was really a very good quality product, but it was still a product they were already making, you know, for other customers. I didn't change anything. The only thing I did was offer the lifetime warranty and make the lifetime warranty really easy to take advantage of. Like, and that was the key because, you know, people offer warranties all the time. You know, the question is, do you stand behind it? How easy do you make the process? How good does the customer feel at the end of that warranty process? That's going to determine how much they like your brand and how willing they are to buy other products from you, recommend you, review you. So that process, you know, of fulfilling on that warranty, you know, for our customers, that's a 2-minute process. It's completely automated. You know, if they have a problem, they go to our website. The website links them into our warranty app. They enter their Amazon, or they enter their email address. It confirms their email. They enter their Amazon order ID, shows them the products that they ordered. They choose the one that's got the problem. If there's parts, they choose which parts they want. They hit submit and they're done. Like, it says approved. You know, 5 days from now, you'll have a new part or a new product or whatever it is. We never touch it. You know, like 95% of our warranty claims are rubber stamped, and they go through an automated process. And part of what's critical about that is not just that the process is easy, you know, and, you know, virtually every claim gets approved. I mean, yes, that makes a difference, right? Because every single one of those approved warranties, because it was so easy, of course, they're going to leave us a 5-star review. Like, if I ask, I don't have to say, leave me a 5-star. I just say, hey, if you got time, you know, leave me a review. Who's not going to leave me a 5-star review? Like, nobody else does what we do, right? So, but the key to that, though, is also think about the process of the last time that you tried to file a warranty claim, if you even do them. Like, you might even already just know, nah, nobody's going to give me the thing, so I'm not even going to bother, right? But if you actually do it, or if you've done it at some point, you know the process probably was, I had to take pictures of the item and how it broke, and then I have to fill out this form and explain everything. And then, you know, a day or 2 or 3 later, somebody gets back to me and says, hey, you didn't give us this information. So then you go back and you give them that, and it's this back and forth. And a week and a half later, maybe they say they're going to send you something. They might charge you for sending it to you, or they say, no, you don't qualify, right? So the key to that is, because everybody knows that process is going to be long, it's going to be drawn out, there's going to be all these hoops that I'm going to have to jump through, and at the end of it, I'm probably not going to get the item anyways, right? So every hoop that you make somebody jump through, the longer the process takes, whether that's hours or days, the more time the customer has to think about what their last process was like, and to assume your process is going to be the same. So in other words, it's all of those points along the way are an opportunity for them to bail on the process. And here's what you lose, because most of our claims are preceded by a registration, because a lot of people don't register on the front end, no matter how much we incentivize it, right? You know, we get about a 30% response rate, but there's still a lot of people who don't register, you know, in that early window, no matter how much we incentivize it. We're still going to let them register all the way up to the point where they want to make the claim. Why? Because I want their email address. I want them on my list and I want them happy. If I don't let them register to file the claim, all I did was, 1, I keep them from being on my list, and 2, I assure that I'm going to get a negative review for them. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Approve it. Let them register. Get them on your list. then automatically you make them happy because you process the claim and you approve it. You're going to get a good review. Now you get to sell them on the back end, make that process simple. And the faster it is, the easier it is. They don't bail on the process. So that just means that many more people that you now have in your system to sell them on the back end, to get more reviews, to partner with other companies and sell their products, you know, or, I mean, you just have so many more opportunities there.
Yeah. So just to give a perspective to the conversation, what is your product?
So we sell pool cleaning tools, pool poles, brushes, nets, that sort of thing.
So it's potentially it's something that can easily fail. It may need a part or it may need something. So warranty does make sense. So I mean, this offering extended warranty, and in your case, it's a lifetime warranty, is something that a lot of people, it's the first thing they think of. Like, for example, I have a client, they sell a kit that makes epoxy floor covering. So they can redo their entire floor, looks beautiful once it's done. So they offer an extended warranty if something happens. So they also offer warranty. But it has to, the product really needs to be suitable to offer something like that. So what I'm hearing from you, which is most significant, whatever you are offering, make sure that the customer can accept it, not necessarily within a time window, but anytime, because you want their email address.
Incentivize it up front, of course. You know, you want to get them on your list as quickly as you can. So, you know, make sure you're testing the offer and testing what the incentive is, because so like we, you know, it's the warranty registration. And of course, I mean, we sell it 5 times what anybody, you know, what most products are selling for in our category. So of course, if you bought it with a lifetime warranty, you probably already, at least to a certain degree, are thinking, hey, maybe I should register that, right? So that in and of itself is an incentive. But we also have, we do a $1,000 giveaway every month. If you register your warranty, you're entered into that drawing. As long as you stay a subscriber, you're entered in the drawing every single month till you win. You know, we have a few free ebooks. There's a number of things that people get if they register within that kind of upfront window, a couple of weeks, you know. But again, like you said, I'm not going to turn them away, you know, let them register, you know, I mean, obviously. You know, so that's critical. The other thing, you know, that you were saying in terms of like the offer, you know, and that obviously some products don't really lend themselves to a warranty. I would say a few things. One is that I think there are more products than people think that lend themselves to the option of offering a good warranty. Most businesses that look at their product and say, okay, I've got a durable good, so a warranty to some degree or another might make sense depending on how long the warranty is or whatever, but I might end up spending myself into oblivion, you know, like actually fulfilling on this. So there's, you know, caveat number one, like, oh, you know, how much might this cost, right? But then there's the other caveat, which is maybe I don't sell a durable good. You know, maybe I sell a consumable, you know, or something like that. Well, a warranty, I mean, yes, you could kind of call it a warranty, but it doesn't sound right. Like it just doesn't fit, you know, warranty fits a durable good kind of an item. But what about a guarantee, right? Guarantee makes more sense. Like, okay, 100% refund, you know, guarantee for 6 months or a year. Like I always say, whatever the offer is, you know, one, look at what anybody else in your category is offering. You know, maybe everybody else is offering a 1-year warranty. Okay. Make your offer extreme, but believable. That's the one thing I think that we screwed up on. You know, I screwed up on, honestly, because it was just me in the beginning, is I offered something that, quite frankly, is super extreme. It's unlimited free. It's not just a lifetime warranty. It's unlimited free replacement lifetime warranty, which is not exactly the same thing. And it is extreme to, I mean, it's as extreme as it gets, right? But it's not believable. Now, today, it's believable only because we have a 5-star review rating on virtually every product that we sell, and we've got thousands of reviews. So from that standpoint, if somebody looks for us offline, they find 5-star reviews everywhere. You know, if they look for us on Amazon, they find 5-star reviews everywhere. So we have a certain level of credibility now. If you don't have that, then you have a problem if you offer an unlimited free replacement warranty, because believability is an issue for you. You don't have any credibility behind your brand. So I don't recommend doing what we did. But what I do recommend is make it extreme, but make it believable. So if everybody else is offering a 1 year, then maybe you offer a 3 year, right? And maybe to incentivize, one way to incentivize registering sooner is, okay, they're expecting a 3 year, they get your insert or hang tag or whatever it is, and it says, register within the next 7 days and we'll upgrade it to a 5-year warranty, right? And you can add, a giveaway or, whatever other things that you want to add to it. But that in and of itself is an extra incentive to register earlier. A lot of people bought your product at a higher price point because it had the longer warranty to begin with. So you already know that incentive should resonate with the majority of people that bought the product. So that's, one thing. But if it's a guarantee, the same thing applies. So let's say I sell a supplement. Well, you only have 30 days to return it for a refund with Amazon, right? Maybe there's other people in your category that offer a 2-month or a 3-month guarantee. Okay, fine. Then you offer a 1 year. Okay, 1 year free refund or replacement, right? And once they get your product, maybe then again, there's an insert that says 2-year free return or replacement, or whatever. You have to decide what what makes sense in terms of the numbers, but you get my point. And then of course there's other offers, if a guarantee or a warranty doesn't make sense, well then just think of something. What's a service that you could offer on the back end? It doesn't cost you much, but it provides extreme value to the customer that nobody else is offering. Maybe it's an app, maybe it's a book, maybe it's, there's all sorts of things that it could be. Just make it extreme. Like, how much value does that offer really hold for that customer, right? Again, not just for anybody, but for that person. How much value does that, offer? How much weight does it have? That's the thing.
I have a question for my listeners. Are you experiencing cash flow challenges with your Amazon business? Well, silly question. Who is not, right? So let me introduce you to Viably, a unique solution tailored for Amazon sellers and e-commerce enterprises. By connecting your Seller Central or Shopify account, you can promptly access funding along with a variety of financial tools, all for a flat fee. It's as simple as that. And for my listeners, they are offering an extra $1,500 in funding for eligible applications. Start your quick and easy application today at runviably.com/legends. And that's runviably.com/legends. I heard you mention something a few times, make it extreme and make it believable. So they have to go together. And also, what I heard you say is, when I made it extreme, but it wasn't believable, later became believable.
Right.
So this is really something that's relative to the time of the offer. So you have to be aware of it. Mike, what I want to find out from you is, okay, there's the mechanics of this.
Sure.
So first of all, there is the Amazon TOS, right? So Amazon does not want to have sellers get into direct relationship with Amazon shoppers. So
Right.
they have strict terms of service. So when you put your package insert together, so I'm assuming it's something that comes out of the package that says, go here and sign up, right?
Yeah.
Describe the mechanics of that. Where are they going? Are they coming to your website? What are some things that happen when they take up the offer?
Yeah.
What's the URL? Share with us the specific.
At the moment, the way that the process works is, of course, we do advertise the warranty on our Amazon listing. Now, of course, you have to be a little bit creative with that, because even a warranty, Amazon is very, weird about that. They don't like you advertising it. We do, you can get it into your images if you're, creative with it. You can say, free replacements, things like that. So, your wording matters, but upfront, if you can, on your listing, try to indicate what extra they're going to get, and that they know, it should be something that seems rather obvious, that it's probably not going to show up in the package, but there's probably going to be something in the package to tell me how to take advantage of it, right? So you're priming them to be thinking, I should be looking for something, right?
I see. Okay.
Once it arrives, then ideally, make them interact with it in some way. So give it an example. I bought a product not too long ago. It was a fitness product, and they had an insert tag in there, but it was just sitting in the bottom of the bag. I didn't notice it because my focus, well, first of all, they didn't advertise anything on their listing to suggest to me that I should be looking for a card of any sort, right? So I opened the package, I pulled out the product, I was getting ready to throw away the package and just happened to notice that there was this little card in the bottom, right? Of course, I pulled it out to see what it was and I did the thing, but how many of their customers don't even notice that it exists, right? Because they're not looking for it, they weren't primed. I didn't have any requirement to interact with it. It was just laying in there, right? So our products, fortunately for us, it provides a somewhat simple way to make this happen, but almost any product you can figure out a way if you're creative enough. But the way that our product works, so you've got a pole and you've got a tool. The pole doesn't work without a tool. The tool doesn't work without a part, right? So if we sell a pole, they have to attach it to something. And there's holes in the end of the pole that allow you to insert the tool and it clips in so that it works. So we have 2 holes built into the end of the product. We just put a loop, a hang tag, like a plastic hang tag in there. So our hang tag is hanging there and they have to cut off the plastic loop in order to use the product. So they have to interact with it. It's also a perfect way to split test because there's no way for us to know which side of that hang tag they're going to see first. It's very random. So we put a different message on each side of the hang tag with a different QR code. So, and of course, we have the little link underneath, but again, it's a different link for each of them. Technically, it's the same offer, but it's a different wording on either side. We highlight a different aspect of the offer on either side, and we're just testing which QR code gets scanned the most. Once we know, then that becomes the new control. And now we put a new offer on the other side, and we just keep split testing through that. So that QR code, even though they have a different link on them, right now, they actually just go to the same page because, again, technically it's the same offer. We're just wording it differently. So they go to the same landing page. The landing page highlights the things that they're going to get in a little bit more detail than the insert card does. And then it just says, click here to register your warranty. So they go into the warranty system. That's, again, where we ask for their email. They confirm it, give us the order ID, whatever. We also ask in that process, not only for their email, but also for their physical address. Now, here's one of the things that's really nice about a warranty and probably also about a guarantee, if you word it right. Like a guarantee, if the guarantee isn't just a refund guarantee, but it's a refund or replacement guarantee, well, then on your registration form, you can say, hey, so that we can more easily fulfill on this later, if you need a replacement, would you please provide us with your shipping address? We don't require that because all we need is the email address. That's really all we're after, right? 90% of the people who register their warranty give us their physical address, even though it's not required on the form. Just simply by saying, hey, so we can make this process easier at claim time, would you give us your shipping address now? Same thing would be true of a guarantee. You might even be able to come up with something else that would allow you that, like maybe it's a bonus item, or whatever. So you can get physical addresses. So that's the process. That's how they walk it through. Once they've registered, now they're on our email list. We have an autoresponder sequence that lasts like 20 weeks, every few emails, there's kind of a soft sell of another product. We're giving them information about cleaning their pools, all sorts of tips, things like that. That's pretty easy. You could do a newsletter if you want. Autoresponder keeps things pretty simple. And then most of our other contacts are either we're offering some sort of a special deal or we're launching a new product. And so we want their input, or we're ready to launch. And so we want them to go buy it, whatever. So that's essentially the process. From a TOS perspective, the reason that I like warranty or guarantee is because that is the very same thing that major brands do. Like Nike sells on Amazon, Reebok sells, Canon sells, Sony sells, all of these high-level brands sell on Amazon. What do they all offer? They offer a warranty, right? Amazon doesn't say anything to them, and obviously they have to provide a way for the customer to get on their list. So what is Amazon really going to say if you're offering a warranty on your product? The customer doesn't get to take advantage of it? Well, wait a minute. You want them to get everything that it says on their listing, right? Like you want us to treat the customer well. So if a warranty is part of that and they get more value out of it, it's highly unlikely that Amazon's really going to say too much unless your insert is saying something about leave us a 5-star review or some stupid thing like that that's obviously against TOS. If it's clean and it's neat and you're offering things that are actually of value to the customer, Amazon's probably not going to say too much. The other thing that I would say too is, ideally, I wouldn't put it on the outside of your packaging. Make sure that it's on the inside of your packaging. So it's much less likely that an Amazon employee or something is going to see you've got this insert or hang tag or whatever it is. They're not going to open your package, you know, like they're likely not getting inside there. So as long as it's inside the package, you're probably never going to have a problem.
Yeah. I mean, again, several things that I picked up from everything you're describing. First of all, use the QR code. So always use a QR code.
Absolutely.
Do you actually put the URL also, or just leave the QR code?
We use the QR code and we use a short URL so that it's easy to place on there, and so they don't have to remember too much. It's very easy to type in if they have to. Also, this is probably actually a fairly critical piece that I think is important. It's not massive, but it saves you some money. There's a lot of systems out there like SaaS services that allow for QR code generation. Most of them you can get free QR code generation as long as you don't want it to be dynamic. A static QR code you can get for free anywhere. And essentially, for anybody who doesn't know the difference, a static QR code goes to a specific URL that will never change. A dynamic QR code goes to a URL that you can change anytime you want, which is kind of nice because that way, essentially, you can change the landing page anytime you want, you know, or you can point it someplace else, do whatever. So it's convenient. But you end up paying a monthly fee to those services for the right to be able to change that URL. So what I've been doing for quite a while is I use a WordPress plugin. It's a free plugin. I assume there's probably one for Shopify too, you know, or other platforms. We just use WordPress, but we install the plugin, it's free. And what it allows me to do is I can create a domain-based URL that goes anywhere I want, and I can change where it goes anytime I want, and it tracks how many clicks I get on that link, right? So essentially, it becomes a QR code tracker. So what I'll do is I set up, you know, protupproducts.com/offer/warranty, whatever, right? And that goes to whatever page I want it to go to. The QR code is generated to point at protupproducts.com/offer. And so then I can put the QR code on there. I put protupproducts.com/offer underneath it. So it's fairly short. And then at any time, I can change where I'm pointing that URL, and I don't have to pay a monthly fee to basically get dynamic QR code generation. I just hold the keys to the dynamic nature of it. So that's one way to save a little money and not be tied to a particular platform for your QR codes.
And the landing page itself is just a plain page, or is part of your website? Other things going on that landing page?
I mean, it's on our website, but it's not really tied necessarily to the website itself necessarily, but we've done it either way. We change it out, you know, and I would test it, you know, depending on the customer. Maybe it would give them more comfort for it not to be a landing page, you know, like maybe the customer you're selling to is one who, for whatever reason, deals a lot with the types of online sellers who do these long form landing page things, squeeze pages, right? And maybe they don't like them, right? So if you do that, it's problematic. If instead you send them to a landing page that looks like it's part of a more corporate website, right? It's, you know, more professional, you might actually find that converts better for that particular customer. I would test it.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then they sign up, and then right there you are validating. So in terms of the information you collect, you ask for the email address, and then you ask them for their Amazon order ID. So that must be linked back to some kind of a back end so that it brings up the order, right?
Yeah. I used to use ManyChat, which you can tie in via API to Amazon's system. So you can verify orders that way and pull up order data and whatnot. We used to use that. It worked. It was a little bit clunky, but it worked. We have since gone to a system that we developed ourselves. It's all our own code. That's a much simpler, straightforward, streamlined process. There's no flow that they have to go through. It's just bang, 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 and it's done. It's very quick. It gives us a very clean back end for managing all of the data, managing returns and refunds, and looking anything up, getting the analytics on it. So that's kind of nice. We actually will be launching that as a service. We're beta testing right now. So for anybody who's currently running a warranty process or a guarantee of some sort, or would like to, this is a simple way to collect that data, makes it really easy for the customer so that you don't lose people to the process, makes it easy for your customer service reps because it's very easy to manage on the back end. It's all tied into Amazon, so the orders go out automatically. You don't have to touch it. It's just an MCF order. Down the road, we'll have connections into other 3PLs so that you could do it that way if you wanted to. And we'll soon have it so that it's connected to Zapier. So it's a very automatic, you can connect it to anything you want. So as soon as registration happens, that information can go wherever, you can trigger other actions, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, for those who cannot obviously develop code, or what you are looking to receive from the customer is their email address and their Amazon order ID. And then if you create different landing pages, if you're selling multiple different products, you can create different landing pages and then just pre-build into that for them to see the product that they ordered, and then you can put a disclosure subject to verification of your order ID.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say there's nothing wrong with starting with the simplest version of this, that you can, based on your capabilities or the amount of money that you have to pay somebody to code it, right? Start with something simple. The only thing that I would say is, whatever you do, still make that process as easy as possible for the customer. Make sure that you really have nailed, like as few clicks as necessary, as little information as necessary, make it clear, no confusion, any of the messaging or any of that. And make sure that if you're not automating the process, then you absolutely have the customer service system processes, whatever, set up so that it's very quick from start to finish. If it's a claim the registration is fairly easy, but especially on a claim side, you better have your processes really set up so it's fast. Don't have, like, for instance, if your customer service department, right, maybe it's one person, maybe it's five, depending on your size, but if your customer service department only works certain hours, and they're overseas or whatever, you already have a bit of a problem. Because if somebody submits a claim, and let's say it's Friday, end of the day, and you don't have anybody working over the weekend or whatever, and it's overseas, all of a sudden now they have to wait from Friday to Monday before they even get a response. All that time, the only thing they're thinking is they're going to screw me. They're going to screw me. They're going to screw me, right? Even if you follow through on it, they still had all weekend to get negative, about the whole process. So just as fast as you can, to get to the end point of that, where they know I'm approved and there's a product on the way, and just stand behind it,
Yeah. But what you are saying is think through the process for the claims, because that is as important. Okay. What I'd like you to tell us also is what happens. Now, you briefly mentioned, so once somebody accepts the warranty, they register. I believe I heard you say 20-week campaign. So tell us a little bit about that. What does that entail, and what are you asking them to do?
Sure. So in the early stages, a lot of it is information about how to use products. So if you're properly, say, segmenting the list, right? So if they ordered a rake, or they ordered a pole, or they ordered a, whatever, the initial messages I would suggest should be, and you might even have, 2 or 3 in succession early on, in short order, that are just how to use the product, how to get the best, efficiency out of the product, what would complement the product well, to make it even more efficient, whatever. That would be good for the beginning of that autoresponder process. Also, did you have any problems? Like, is there anything that we can do for you? Did you have any issue with the product? Did this go wrong? Did, whatever. Those are good, for the intro. After that, then I would say it basically comes down to probably more generic, useful information regarding the product category. So we're selling in the pool space, so it only makes sense that it would be articles related to how to clean your pool. I would suggest that they be, at least some of them anyways, should be a unique take on whatever that process is. Like there's, because you want to have a hook, you know, like if you're going to send an email, the subject line, you want to have some sort of a hook. So if you're writing an article, you know, about some generic process, but it's one that's useful information, if you take just a slight tweak on how everybody else does it, or some unique little hack to it that nobody else does, and you can use that as a hook in your email title, then that's of course going to be a much better opportunity. But still, just useful information about how to operate within that space. Again, thinking about what is your customer dealing with? What are the problems that they have in this category? You know, staying category specific, you know, and then every, you know, I would say 3 to 4 emails, you know, maybe some sort of a soft sell. It doesn't even have to be the whole email is about some product, you know, maybe it's, again, maybe you're talking about a process, and it just happens to be that one of your products can make that process a lot easier. So you describe the details of how to walk through that process if you didn't have our product, like, okay, these are the things that you normally do, right? And this is the best way, most efficient way to do it. But then at the end, it's, hey, you could do all that, or, you know, you could buy this product, you know, that would make my life, you know, that much easier. I wouldn't do that all the time, you know, but every 3rd or 4th email, I think, is reasonable. And just make sure, because you do want to prime them. Like if you never sell to them, then you have a problem, because then you've generated a list that doesn't expect to be sold to. And now 2 months down the road, you try to sell them a product and now they're ticked off, right? They're like, well, I don't want you to sell to me. Right. But if you prime them up front, you know, then most people don't have a problem, especially if it's something that's useful to them.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is you always want to give some useful information, especially at the beginning. And then you move on to giving information and then offering a product that's relevant to that information. And then after that, so this is the pattern for on every single email, or do you have emails that go out with a different purpose?
So I would say that's the bulk of our emails are either information only, or they're information and a soft sell. And again, it's probably, you know, maybe 3 to 1, mostly just information. Some of them are information with a soft sell. And then interspersed in there is, of course, going to be, you know, when we're thinking of launching a product, that's when we would connect with our customer base and we would say, hey, this is a product that we're considering launching, you know, who would be interested, right? Like, I mean, let's feel out our target audience. Like, we know who we're dealing with. Let's see, does that target audience, does this resonate with them? Okay, yes. They say, yes, we would buy that. All right, what features would you like? What do you hate about the products that are out there, right? Like, what are the things that, if you could have everything you wanted, even features that you think aren't even possible for this product, what would they be? What would you want, right? That gives us obviously the information that we need to start thinking through how could we design the product in a different way than everybody else is designing. If we're a company that offers a significant warranty, like if that's been the mindset, okay, we're going to be the brand that does that, right? Well, then the question is, from the beginning, designing the product, how do I design it in a modular way? Like, let me think through, what are the components of this product that probably break the most often? Let's look through the reviews of other products. You know, let's think through the design. What's going to be the linchpin that breaks, that all of a sudden now the product's not usable? How do we make that modular so that we can just replace that little piece instead of sending them a whole new unit, you know, because you're not just saving on the product price. As an e-commerce seller, mostly you're saving on the fulfillment cost, which is huge, especially now. You know, it's way worse now than it was, you know, 3 years ago. So if you can make it modular from the beginning, that really helps. But then just stepping through that process. So, okay, we developed it, right? Now we've got a product. Well, you need beta testers. Well, you've already got a built-in list of people who, you know, want this product. Who wants to be a beta tester? Everybody raises their hand, right? So you get a certain number of beta testers, you get feedback from them, you tell the list, this is how things went, this was the good, the bad, the ugly, this is what we're going to do to fix it, right? Go back to the drawing board, come back with a new set, we need new beta testers, so we send it to new, you know, like, that's very organic. By the time that you get to the point of product launch, your list pretty much feels like this is their product. Like, they built it, like it has everything that they asked for. You've gone through, they see that you have invested the time to not only know what they want, but to build what they want, to find out if you did it right, to fix it when it needed to be fixed, right? Like you're priming them to understand you care about what they want, you're going to stand behind it, you're going to help them, live a better life because of the products that you sell them, right? So at the time the product launch comes, it's so easy. Like you don't have to jump through hoops to launch a product when you have a list of thousands of people who already told you they want it, and you've already told them you built the product that they said they wanted. Like we offer a 10 or 15% discount at launch. That's all we offer. We drip that out to our list over 7 to 10 days, to target certain keywords and whatnot. And we rank, at the top of the list at the end of the launch, and we make money, like everybody else loses money on a launch. We make money on every single launch.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you just need to establish a relationship with everybody on that list, so that way they are getting value out of it. This is a great coming straight from the horse's mouth. So it's I mean, we have. I'm sure that my listeners will know the company, and they've been on the podcast, Post Purchase Pro. So they talk about this, but of course, the emailing part, we never really got into it, as you explained, and what goes in the emails, because it's one thing to get people to register, but that's not the end. That's the beginning, right? So how do you get the most out of that list? It's very useful. It's a great conversation. So now we've come to my favorite part of the episode, where we get to know you a little bit more intimately, so to speak.
Sure.
Obviously, you are an entrepreneur. So tell us, where did you grow up, and where was the first idea of being an entrepreneur as a kid? Those things happen, when you are little, right? But you just don't know what's going to come out of it. So share a little bit about yourself, and let us get to know you.
So I grew up in Michigan. I lived there my entire life, never lived anywhere else until 4 weeks ago when I moved to Puerto Rico. So I'm loving the sunshine, but that was my home. I grew up in a family that really didn't have any money. So we were buying the shoes off the shelf that were 3 sizes too big for me because we could buy them cheap enough. That was my formative years. But I'll tell you, the very first thing that I ever tried to sell, I remember, so we went on a camping trip. We went on camping trips every year with my grandparents and my family. And on this camping trip, we were gone long enough and I was bored enough that I made a do-it-yourself homemade slingshot. And if you're an animal lover and this upsets you, I'm sorry, but I shot a bird. But the fact was, I hit it. Like it worked. Like it was a slingshot that actually worked. So I thought, and I got home after that camping trip, and some of my buddies, in the neighborhood saw it, and they were like, "Hey, I want one," So I started making slingshots for the rest of the people, and I sold them for like $5. I don't know, something, which of course back then was actually quite a lot of money. Now that I think about it, but I sold quite a few of them. And I didn't really think anything about it, of course. I mean, geez, I don't know, I was like 10, or 11. I don't know what I was. And so, it wasn't like I thought, oh yeah, I want to be somebody who sells stuff. Like I actually had decided I wanted to be a lawyer, mainly because they made a lot of money. And I like to argue, quite frankly. Those two things just seemed like they went together. So I wanted to be a lawyer like all my life. So I went to school, I went to college thinking that's what I was going to do. I was a political science major. I actually double majored in political science and mathematics just because I was really good at math. But all the time, I planned on going into law. But I made it a couple of years into school, and I really enjoyed political science like that, and math, both, I enjoyed my time, but I started tutoring while I was in college, and I just really, really enjoyed it. And I also recognized something about myself in that moment. So my wife and I had just got married. We got married in college. Or actually it was just prior to that, actually. And I had come to this, I don't know, epiphany, I guess, that law would be a really bad career move for me because I loved arguing way too much. And at the time, I loved money way too much. And so I was certain that if I went down that path, I would not have a wife, I would not have a family. And if I did, I would destroy it, and it wouldn't, and I didn't want law to be the only thing I had in my life. So I just went a different route. I actually started into the education program at the college. I went for secondary education. I went into teaching, which I did enjoy, but I didn't teach for very long. I was at an alternative high school, and I was at the same time, I started a lawn care business while I was in college. Again, not really because I necessarily wanted to be a business person, but it just seemed like the easiest way for me to make the most money during my summers when I wasn't, in school. And so I, at that time, when I got out of school, teaching, I planned on doing that, and it still made sense because I still got my summers off, so I could still do the lawn care. There was a little overlap, but I could do it. But the problem was the alternative high school was one of those where the principal they pretty much just let the kids do whatever they wanted. And the problem was all of those kids were there because that's what they do. They do anything they want, and they don't recognize that society has certain limits on it, certain things you just can't really do. And if you're going to do them, at least understand that you're going to break something, like, okay, you can make that choice, but understand there's going to be consequences that come out of it, right? And there were no consequences for anything. And the teachers were, I don't know, they were kind of superfluous in the process. And I decided after a couple of years that I was done. I wasn't going to go back to teaching until I didn't need the paycheck, because I didn't like the fact that I was kind of held hostage by that. Like I couldn't teach the way that I knew I needed to teach in order for the kids to really get what I knew they needed. And I didn't want there to be a situation where the administrator could say to me, you can't do that. And I would have no choice but to say, okay, because I need the paycheck, so I got to stay. So I decided I was done. I went back to the lawn care, and I was selling online at the same time. I'd been selling organic fertilizer because I started fertilizing while I was doing lawns. And that was the beginning of my e-commerce process, was back there. I had started selling fertilizer. I started selling oil, which ironically was sold by the same company. But I sold that online for quite a long time. And about 10 years ago, a little more than that, I was a little nervous about the direction that the company was going, that I was selling for, and decided to branch out. Tried selling t-shirts online, tried a whole bunch of different things before I landed on Amazon. And that's kind of where I ended up where I am. I've got a wife and 4 college age and above kids, and that's my life.
Cool. So it all started with that slingshot.
Started with the slingshot. Started with me shooting that bird.
Yeah, I guess what that slingshot, making that slingshot and then selling it gave you the confidence that you could do things, right? So, I mean, it's a big deal. I remember I'm an engineer by training. So my very first job was in textiles.
Okay.
And I always felt that insecurity about being in textiles that I know nothing about. Mm-hmm. So, of course, you learn over time, and then everything is fine. But that time that it takes is when you're feeling like a little bit, on edge with anything that happens. So in your case, being able to actually create something and then sell, that confidence you gained very early, that I'm sure that it carried through.
I would say yes. I mean, I've never really thought about it, but realistically speaking, I guess I was lucky in that regard, because my first swing at entrepreneurship, like, it wasn't a home run, but I mean, it's, I made money, right? Like, so, and so I think that's probably true, because I don't think realistically, I would say, I don't think there's ever been, I shouldn't say never, but for a long time, I don't think I really ever had that question of, if I start selling something, maybe it won't work. I did eventually run into that, because once I stopped, well, I didn't stop. I was still selling for that other company, but I was looking for something else in the interim there. And I tried a bunch of things that they worked. I made money with basically all of it. Like, I sold a book online for a while. I sold, and I guess all of it was profitable. I didn't really lose money on anything, but none of them were going to shift me from doing this job, having this business to something else. it wasn't probably until that space when, in my mind, at least, even though I made money, there were a bunch of kind of failures in that space, where I was like, nah, I didn't really do very well with that, that I kind of, I guess, maybe started to get that impression where maybe I might fail, like might happen. But I could see easily where if the first try, and honestly, for most people, this is likely to be true, the first try, you probably are going to fail. Like you might fail 4, 5, 6 times before you succeed.
Sure.
And that's a more difficult space. And I would say that I'm lucky that that wasn't my experience, that I started with something that was successful.
Yeah. I mean, that slingshot put the wind on your back. I mean, that is a big deal. It's a great conversation about both Amazon and also your story. It's amazing to hear these. Mike, tell us, how can people reach you and your contact information? And also, if you want to drive people to your Amazon, how can they find your products on Amazon?
Sure. Yeah. So our pool tools is, if you got a swimming pool and you want a really good quality tool, Pro Tough Products is PROTUFF as in Frank, products with an S at the end. And you can go to protoughproducts.com, or you can purchase on Amazon. Just search for Pro Tough Products. All of our products will come up. You can catch me on social, either on LinkedIn. You can look up my business, Pro Tough Products, or just Michael Kaufman. Again, our consulting is at brandfortresshq.com, and you can search for the Brand Fortress HQ podcast, where you can catch us on most platforms. And if you happen to have interest in a warranty management system, like I said, we are beta testing that, and we'll be rolling that out shortly. If you want to connect with me, maybe on LinkedIn, you could, connect with me there, and, I can slip you into the beta program. We should be rolling out in a more public beta shortly.
Great. Thank you, Mike. This was a great conversation, very educational, and I'm sure people will take note of it and reach out. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Nick.
Before I go, a quick reminder to say goodbye to your cash flow problems and claim your extra $1,500 when you qualify for $25,000 or more in funding. Go to www.runviably.com/legends and start your application today. Thank you, and this brings us to the end of another episode, and I'll see you next time.
If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the episode, and share it with someone you think would benefit from it too.